horses just were always my thing. When I was a kid, I was the only one out there in the middle of nowhere, and I would just go out to the corral and sit in the feed trough or the hay ring or wherever the horses were, and just sit and smell them and lay on them and breathe them. And if I had a bad day, that's where I went. Like, I would just go, and it was my happy place. It was my safe place. So I always knew they were going to be a part of my life. I think I don't know how old I was. I remember I had a crown shaped piggy bank, and it had cash in it, and I cashed that in with my parents, and we went and looked at a pair of miniature Shetland ponies that were, I don't know, 36 inches or something, and there was a stud and a mare, and I think I had 8 foals out of them, and I started all of them to ride around and on the cart and would sell them, and that was one of my early incomes. And then and I'd put them in parades and all sorts of, it was fun. And then when I got a little bit older, I'd take money from those and buy some cheap horses or some ponies or whatever and train on them. I wanted to better my horsemanship and try to really hone my craft. And I went to a cutting clinic put on by Tommy Marvin. And while I was there, I said, hey, I'm looking to get some show experience, just experience behind the scenes showing. And I said, is there a trainer that you know of that would need some help at show? And he goes, yeah, the non-pro in Oklahoma City is getting ready to happen. That'd work out great. You could help us. So I went and helped him at the show. And when it was over after that week or whatever, 10 days, and he goes, can you take a load of horses home for me, which is north of Tulsa, about 3 hours from where we lived. And so I did. And when I got there, I found out their help was leaving like the next day. And I unloaded the horses and got them all bedded. And then he was like, can you do this? Can you do that? And I called my fiance at the time. I said, I think I'm working here. Like, I don't think he's going to let me leave. Tommy was pretty particular. If I didn't get on a Colt in a couple days, then he was like, hey, are you getting on that horse? And I had not gone that fast before. So I did get bucked off a few times down there because I was not used to going that fast. But I learned a lot down there. Getting on that volume of horses, I learned a lot. I think there's a few things that distinguish my program from someone else's, and that doesn't make it better. It's just different. The very most important thing for me is that when you are starting those colts, wherever it may be, when you start interacting with them, is that you wait on them to relax. You wait on those horses to take that breath and relax, and as slow as it goes, instead of focusing on maneuvers, that you focus on that horse learning that. I could care less what maneuver they are. It doesn't matter. You want to focus on that horse coming back to you. Its mind coming back down and relaxing. And I want that horse focused on me giving it knows I'm trying to communicate with it. Whatever that horse knows, I'm trying to communicate. And they're looking for that, and it's a give and take, and I wait on them to relax. You always got to wait on those horses to come back and relax. And the slower you go that first 7 days, it makes a world of difference. And at 60 days, you're, if not just as far, way further ahead. You're hardly ever behind if you wait on those horses, because it just goes fast, fast, fast. The other thing that really makes a difference in my program, I think, is that I ride outdoors a lot, and it gives those, for a performance horse, especially for any horse, but a lot of these horses come from just flat ground. I mean, the most they've been turned out is some turnout or little pasture that's not very rough or anything, and that's great because we all want to protect them, but those horses don't know how to naturally jump up or go through something, and they get real nervous about it. And I'll go take them and ride them kind of through the canyons or some of the rough country and use them to gather cattle, and those horses learn how to handle their feet in different situations. And not only that, but you put them in a real natural setting of a challenge. I didn't create it. Like, I am not putting the pressure on that horse in an arena, a plowed arena. I am not the one doing it. We are facing that together. The things I mainly admire is the people who don't get rushed and go slow. Like, the older I get, the more I realize the importance of the slower you go, the faster it ends up over time. It's kind of that the turtle wins the race method, because you get up every day and you're constantly, I want to wait on that horse, and there's just less mistakes. Like, I want to wait on that horse to learn and find and start looking for it. And once that horse starts looking for it, it's like every time. And I'll use a lot of audio cues for, oh, good, yes, you got that. And then at 30 days, that might come into play where I can just say yes, and that horse immediately relaxes. And that is so important in my program. I preface everybody now, I very much go slower than I used to. The older I get, the slower I go. And part of that's because of what I've learned, and I've realized I don't have to do as much work early on to get a better result. And part of it's because I have had more life, and I have very important things in my life, like my children and my family, and I don't really want to risk getting hurt. A lot of the times I'm by myself. My husband's gone for 2 weeks at a time, so essentially I'm a single parent for 2 weeks at a time, and I cannot risk being out there and being hurt and my toddler being on their own. It's very relative, but ideally at like 30 days, I'd like them kind of being able to lope around and maybe pick up their leads. They'll be soft and be able to move off that pressure there, the rib pressure, and really be flexy and be outside, which doesn't sound like very much. But at 60 days, they should be able to pick up their leads, lope both ways. They've gone to shows like jackpots, they've gone to gather cattle. Then at 90 days, it's not a whole lot of new things. At 90 days for sure, if not 60 days, then right in between there, maybe 75 days usually, we can lope in straight lines, collect, and then do a small circle and go back off and lope in a straight line. So it's all really collected. And then everything else is just kind of more refined. So I do a lot of that, especially for those barrel horses, go lope in a straight line, get them to collect where it's soft, do a little circle. I'll make that circle be correct and feel good, and then go back off in a different direction in a straight line. And I feel like that's very vital for those horses, those fraternity horses to go on, or barrel horses to go on, to be able to do all those things, because that's what they do in a pattern. If I want to go win, the very first thing that I'm going to look for, regardless, I guess no matter what, I'm going to look for a good dam side. Obviously now, if you're trying to win money, the incentives take play, because the opportunity to win money, if that's what you're wanting to do, it absolutely matters. If you're trying to market a stud, or to show that you can win more money, or to just be able to go and have that opportunity, it's been an amazing asset to the industry. Has it changed the industry and the breeding? Absolutely. Was it all good? No, but it's pretty cool. Like, it's definitely changed it. So it's just very dependent. Like, I would say look for bloodlines matter so much. So look for something that you kind of know the stereotypical bloodlines, and look for a good dam. That's, if you can afford something out of a better dam, even if it's not a name brand stud, yeah, absolutely do that. the main thing I would say for DIYers to stay safe is you need to know your horse and pay attention to their body language. If that horse is not comfortable, don't get on. Like, don't put yourself in a dangerous position. Make sure you always protect your bubble and yourself, and teach that horse that that's your area, and then progress that horse to where they're comfortable with wherever you are. If I think that horse is going to buck when I get on, I'm not getting on. I have no desire to get hurt. I have a family. Like, I feel like I have stuff to lose. We all know that horses are a drug and it's addicting, and, you know, from my cold dead hands are you going to take my horses? So if I got to learn how to start this colt by myself, then I can. And I want people to know that they absolutely can do it. Like, you can do it with your kids. You can do it. Like, it may take you longer. It's not going to go every day. You may not get that colt going where, you know, the colt starter would be in 30 days, but it's your horse. Like, it's your relationship with your horse. So build the relationship, and that's what's important. And if you keep building on that, you're going to get to know your horse and grow your communication skills so much, and your relationship through that process.